Very happy to be here tonight. What a great turnout. Super happy to see the turnout that Dennis got tonight. Like Dennis said, my name's Doug Danger. I'm a professional motorcycle jumper. Last year, it was Evel Knievel's motorcycle that I actually rode to jump to break the Harley world record. I jumped to 22 cars. Since I've done that jump, people have been calling me things like hero, legend, even icon. I get a little embarrassed when I say that. I don't know what to say or how to respond. But what I've come to now is I say, I was just a guy that was lucky enough to be on that bike. And everybody always looks at me kind of funny. I say, look, I was one member of a very, very extraordinary team. You see, every successful star and every successful business is a combination of efforts by a group of people all aiming at the same goal. Tonight, you're going to understand the importance of a team effort. The reason that you're going to understand that tonight is because your life and your safety are going to depend on it. Tonight, you're going to learn how to overcome fear. You're going to accomplish a feat that the normal people would strike terror in their minds. Trust me when I tell you tonight, what you're doing is extremely dangerous. Don't ever try this stuff at home. You've got a team behind you tonight. The main reason you're going to be successful tonight is because you have a professional team that's going to be guiding you. Also tonight, you're going to learn, and on top of learning the definition of courage, you get to experience living courage. Courage, the definition of courage is not the ability to eliminate fear. The definition of courage is having that fear, but being able to take that walk and keep moving forward. Teamwork is so important in everything we do in life. When I was out in Sturgis doing that world record jump, 3 seconds in the air on Evel Knievel's bike, it took 100 people on my team to make that happen and be successful. And I made sure every single person that was involved and that was on my team, how important what they were doing was, and that my life depended on them doing their job correctly. When we were out in Sturgis, we started with the crew. This guy we had, his name was Lathan McKay. Lathan owned Evel Knievel's motorcycle. He spent $350,000 for that motorcycle. It's a piece of history. It's irreplaceable. He let me jump it over 22 cars farther than that motorcycle or any Harley Davidson had ever flown before. They were saying I was crazy. We had my buddy Lou the Rocket Ray out there. Lou is the greatest crew chief I've had the fortune of ever working with. When I was out there, if there was any type of danger that arose, besides the danger we had of jumping 22 cars, anything that would have made it any more dangerous, he would have shut the show down. Done. His main job, for me, that was the most important job, and I don't know how to tell you and emphasize how important this was he had to make sure those cars were parked correctly. Stop and think about it. If it was like a car lot where you buy cars and they're parked a foot apart so they don't get any scratches on them, 22 cars, that would add 22 feet to the jump. That 22 feet is the difference between life and death in a world record jump. When he got done, you couldn't slide a piece of paper down between them and not one car left with a scratch. We had an announcer, his name was Doug Klang. This guy had been knocked because he wasn't building things up enough. And I talked with him because I know what a great announcer he was. And he told me that's the way Robbie Knievel wants me to announce. He wants everybody hush, hush, hush so nobody upsets him. I says, I want you screaming at the top of your lungs and getting everybody to yell and cheering me on. And that guy built this jump up as the greatest motorcycle jumper ever in the history of motorcycle daredeviltry. When I came out on that Harley Davidson from behind that stage, these people weren't going crazy. They were going insane, jumping up and down and screaming. I come riding out looking around and kind of, what in the hell have we created? I was almost afraid of just what was going on. My cousin Steve came out. Steve's job was to watch the safety all around the ramps as they were being set up to make sure there was no extra dangers put into it. Our TV cameras, the crew for the TV show, ran cables between the cars because they needed cameras on both sides of the cars. Makes sense? Except that they ran them right across my runway where I do my speed runs. The cables were about that big around. Picture hitting that cable on a Harley Davidson with no suspension at 80 miles an hour. That would have got ugly really fast. So Steve dug a trench and buried the cables. And all of this was done without me even being there. What a team I had. They were the greatest. Back in 1991, I did that 42-car jump that Dennis was talking about. 42 cars. The most cars ever jumped in history was in 1991. It put me into the Guinness Book of World Records. In 1992, I went out to do an 11-car jump at Hudson Speedway in New Hampshire. I got sideways in the air. Pitched me over the bars. I went to go put my hands out to break the fall. And just before I hit the ground, I went head first into a cement wall at 55 miles an hour. And then the bike piled into me from behind. I broke 17 bones on that jump, was in a coma for over a month, and I had to learn how to do everything all over again. In 1993, I had healed up enough that I thought I was ready to try to jump again. But I'd lost my team. My crew chief had moved away. All the people that helped me set my ramps up, with my poor memory, I'd lost their numbers. I didn't know how to get hold of them. My agent thought I was done. He had torn out my card, thrown it away, didn't even have my number anymore. So even if I wanted to practice, I had nobody to help me set up. If I could get a couple guys together and get them set up, I didn't have my crew chief to jot down the numbers for the distance or the speed. My agent wasn't even around to book me anymore. I learned right there that me, Doug Danger, the Guinness Book of World's Record holder, world champion motorcycle jumper, #1 in the world, was nothing, absolutely zero, without his team. When I went out to Sturgis, I had a stunt coordinator. His name was Manny. This guy was awesome. He was out there. They were building the runway for this jump. I needed a runway built 1,400 feet long. He was out there with 50 people building this runway, raking it and getting the rocks out, smoothing it out. And I came riding out in the golf cart. And I came riding up, and this was kind of funny to me. I came riding up, and all of a sudden I started hearing, there he is, that's him, that's the guy, that's Doug Danger, he's the one that's gonna do the jump. I kind of chuckling to myself. And then about 3 or 4 guys came over and said, can I get a selfie with you? Can we take a picture with you? I'm like, sure. So as we started to do this, all 50 of the people that were working started to come over. And I was like, guys, wait right here for a minute. I'll be right back. So I drove back to the camper, and I picked up 50 posters. And I brought them back, and I sat down and I signed the posters for them. Every poster, I wrote on it, to my new Team Danger member. And then I would put their name. Then I write, thanks for being part of history. Happy landings, your pal, Doug Danger. As I handed each poster to each one of these guys, I said, I can't have any rocks in this runway. It's got to be smooth as heck. I'm going to be running a Harley down this thing at 80 miles an hour. And every person responded exactly the same. When we get this finished, I want you to come look at it. If there's one bump or anything you don't like, you tell us, we'll fix it. We're not happy till you're happy. My stunt coordinator, Manny, comes over to me and he says, man, he says, what'd that cost you in posters? And he says, I don't know, they're 15 bucks a piece. 50 people, $700-800. He goes, you're crazy, man, you didn't have to do that. I says, have you ever driven a Harley down a dirt road at 80 miles an hour? He says, no. I says, neither have I. But I've been down at 65 miles an hour, and I'll tell you right now, it's rougher than hell. I says, I'll bet you these guys are going to do a great job on this. And he says, okay. And I was right. When these guys got done raking, they went from out there kicking the rocks like this and stuff. They were out there and picking them up and throwing them and whipping them, making sure they were out of the way. That runway was as smooth as a baby's bottom. Tonight, I really hope that you don't just walk away from this evening with a story about talking about walking on fire. I hope tonight you walk away with some very valuable lessons in life about teamwork, about if you have something that you want to do, that very first step is the hardest one to do. Tonight, I'm telling you right now, when you're standing there looking at them coals, that first step is going to be the hardest one you got to do. But like business or anything else you want to do in life, once you take that first step, you better not stop. You keep on going. Learn about surrounding yourself with the proper people. And the one last thing that I want to say, that I hope that all of you understand, is when I come out, if you hear me say, hey, I'm just the guy riding a bike, I'm the luckiest guy around, all of you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you.
I'm going to take that mic back.